that. He finished with 15 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. So later in the second, Lakers up by 21 now. Russell Westbrook attacks the rim. One-handed jam to go. Take a look again. He almost lost the ball on the way up. He's laughing at himself with the Lakers bench, but when it's good, it's all fun and games. And then in the fourth quarter, the Lakers lead by 25 now. Westbrook drives, kicks it out. Melo, you know what it is. Again, Melo finished with a game-high 23 points and just 25 minutes. Lakers win it 95-85.
I think people don't really understand me. I think there's a misconception up there about me and not being able to adapt to situations, but I'm easily adaptable to any situation. I've always tried to adapt to every situation that I've been in. Someone's better than others, but this is just easy.
That look was a whole mood, but Carmelo has been on a tear to start this season. He's shooting a career-high 50% from the field and 52% from three-point range, and Melo is also scoring his most points per game since 2016-17 season when he was with the Knicks. And now we welcome back Ramona Shelburne. Ramona, Melo's made his mark as a scorer, and you've seen him pick up his game elsewhere?
Yeah, look, defensively. Do we think we were talking about defensively with Melo?
Defense.
Right, but the Lakers system was the bedrock of their 2020 championship. Their Lakers defense was how they won. And when Anthony Davis is there at the 5 and Melo is playing defense and bought into just the team defensive concepts. I was talking to Frank Vogel last night. He said if he's really bought into the system, and when he does that, it's contagious for the rest of the team. So when you get veterans like Carmelo who are giving that kind of effort and doing the dirty work, like just on the block and banging with people down there when they're not getting stats. Now, last night he got stats, 4 blocks, 2 steals for Melo. He's never done that.
Yeah, and he was looking good. The Staples Center crowd they erupt for him every single time. But the question that certainly existed at the beginning of the season and is still playing itself out, right, is how are the veterans that you mentioned, how are all of them going to fit together? So what role has Anthony Davis played in that defensive cohesion?
Yeah, look, the Lakers came into Sunday's game 27th overall in the league in defense. That's terrible for a team with Anthony Davis, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate every year he plays. But they moved him to the 5 yesterday, and I think that, Frank Vogel said they talked about it mostly because of Houston's lineup, and they had an opportunity to see how their smaller lineup looked. But I think this is here to stay. They look so good. They're +8 with him at the 5 there, but that starting lineup that they had, their net rating over the course of the season has not been good at all. The least effective player in that starting 5 has been DeAndre Jordan. So I think he moves to the bench, AD at the 5. And yesterday they went with Kent Bazemore and Avery Bradley as the 2 other starters. Those are defensive guys. Those are defensive-minded players. And this is Frank Vogel saying this is how this team needs to win. We need to make our money on the defensive end of the ball because they lost a lot of their good perimeter defenders, but now they still have Anthony Davis.
Well, and we saw the Lakers have some success with Anthony Davis at the 5 on that championship run they made in the bubble. I know you were tweeting about this game, but you know who else, Ramona, who was tweeting about this game?
Let me guess.
It was Big Perk. I know he was watching the Lakers game intensely last night, late night Perk. So I want to ask you, Perk, what does Carmelo's performance say to you?
It says a lot. And on every night with the Lakers, he's either going to be the 4th option, sometimes the 3rd option, sometimes the 2nd option, and even last night, the number 1 option. Look, Carmelo Anthony haven't seen this many wide open looks since Moby Dick was a goldfish, okay? And when you look at the pressure that LeBron James and Russell Westbrook puts on the defense, Melo is wide open, which all he has to do is catch and release. And that's what he does best, is get buckets. And what I'm seeing is right now, Melo is flourishing in a role that they wanted Kyle Kuzma to do last year, right? Come in off the bench and provide a spark offensively and get buckets, and that's what he's doing.
Okay, so then what is the areas of improvement you still want to see, Perk, for the Lakers?
I mean, Ramona touched on it, Malika. It's that defense, right? And I think I tweeted last night about why put Anthony Davis at the center position if you're not going to feature him in the offense. And then I had to go back and think about it, that I was a defensive-minded guy. And I also love what Frank Vogel is doing by putting Anthony Davis at center, even if he's not featured in the offense, because you know what it's doing? It's challenging Anthony Davis to be the anchor on defense. And that's what we saw last night. forget the double-double that he had. I saw Anthony Davis anchoring the defense, switching out on pick and rolls, guarding little guards on perimeter, anchoring the defense, contesting things at the basket. The Rockets couldn't get nothing easy, and he was rebounding at a high level on both ends of the floor. So I actually love the move by Frank Vogel because it's in a way it's challenging Anthony Davis without even saying a word to him.
So quickly then, Perk, if I know it was against the Rockets, who've been struggling a bit this season, but if that continues, if Anthony Davis can continue to be the defensive anchor and they take a step up here, what's the ceiling for the Lakers, do you think?
Oh, it's the championship, and we all know that he could do it, right? We saw it 2 years ago when at times Frank Vogel used him at the center position and challenged him, and he delivered in great fashion. It's all about his mindset. But if Anthony Davis is going to be the best defensive player on the floor night in and night out on both teams, the opponent and with the Lakers are going to win the championship with flying colors, and Anthony Davis is going to win his first Defensive Player of the Year award, which he could possibly win. And when you have perimeter guards, like a perimeter guard like Avery Bradley, it also takes a lot of pressure off of Anthony Davis. I love what Avery Bradley brings to the table, but AD being in tune and actually embracing the role of playing the center position will be everything for the Lakers.
Well, and they don't even have their full cavalry yet, right, Perk? So we're going to see this get to shake out a little bit. Don't go anywhere because I'm going to need you in just a minute. The Lakers held the Rockets to just 85 last night, and throughout the league, offensive numbers are down compared to last season. The average offensive efficiency is down by 6 points per 100 possessions, and field goal and three-point percentages were also better last year. And Draymond Green and Steph Curry, they seem to be delighted by the way the game is being played now.
Can I say how satisfying it is to watch the game without all those terrible calls? That, you know, guys cheating the game and grabbing guys and getting a foul. I've been really enjoyed watching basketball this year. So kudos to the league and the referees. It's been great basketball to watch, and I think it's great for our game.
For me, in Portland, the first preseason game, I had that one where I tried to draw a foul, and you just got rid of that impulse. Figure out what other options you have. It's great for the game. I know a lot of fans are loving it. The defensive-minded players are loving it. For us to like to put the ball in the basket, we focus on that. I've tried to, my entire career, so I don't think it's a huge adjustment, but I like it.
As we welcome back Chanae, you heard what Dre and Steph said, so do you agree?
This is why I love the Warriors. And this is why I love that duo of Draymond Green and Steph Curry. I absolutely agree because what have we been talking about? Not just great offense throughout, the NBA the last few years, but it's nice to bring back the great defense. When we look at teams like the Miami Heat and how they're completely switchable and Bam Adebayo is going to work, and we talk about teams like the Chicago Bulls who have brought in savvy vets, but then also we're seeing highlights of them defensively. Like, I love this. When you get so much offense, it's great for the numbers and analytics and for the fans, but we also want to see what makes basketball its truest essence, and that's just the hustle, the heart. And so that's what this, change has really brought, and I'm glad that both, having the cosign of the best arguably shooter of, all time, it's great. Steph Curry, for him to say, I agree too, so that, shooters have that balance.
So Perk, where do you then find the happy medium between too much contact and too much freedom?
Well, I'm just loving it overall. And I think you got to find the balance, but offensive players are getting challenged, okay? And that's the good thing about it because guess what? They always say good D, but better O. And the reason being is because a person who guarding one of the prolific scorers in the league, like a James Harden, it brings out the best in them, right? And I heard Chanae and I heard Ramona, giving James Harden earlier in the show, and I wanted to address them about the hamstring issue.
Go ahead.
What happened with James Harden is that he heard the noise as well, right? He had to adjust to the foul call situation, and he did just that, and he delivered in great fashion right now in the past 2 games. But look, good defense is going to bring the best out of great offensive players. And I love watching the game because now it's physicality. Now it's not refs stopping the play all the time. And now you're starting to see low-scoring games. You're starting to see games that that's 104 to 103. Well, last year would have been 138 to 137. And so I'm loving the change along with Draymond and Steph Curry.
Look, I have no
Well,
problem with you, Big Perk. I want no smoke, and we're on the same page. And I want to give this one example. So if I'm going to touch Big Perk, normally I would not be able, if he was a guard, I would not be able to touch him again until he enters the paint. That's how hard playing defense is. Where should I touch him? On his face? Wherever. So if I touch him here as a defender, I cannot touch him again until he enters the paint.